Happy Veterans Day to all, and welcome to another episode of Official Rules, a Sweepstakes podcast. I am your host, J.Victor. Thank you for joining me this wonderful day, Monday, November 11th. As always, a bunch of stuff to cover, and thank goodness I have my technical stuff under control, because this looks like it's the fourth intro or go-around of trying to record the podcast, and seems like I finally got my microphone working. So, good news as it comes to that. As I mentioned, a lot of stuff going on. We have plenty to go over as far as our weekly TCL recap for the Seasons of More football event. A new top five. Maybe a little, hating a little something. We're going to see what happens. But to start everything off, want to thank you, the listener and listeners, for all the support. If you want to chime in, tell us about some of your biggest wins, maybe a win you just got, maybe your first win. Any critiques, thoughts, suggestions, or otherwise for myself and the show, we can be reached on our phone lines. Just kidding. You know it's an email. It's sweepstakespodcast@gmail.com. Again, sweepstakespodcast@gmail.com. You could also find us on our various social medias on TikTok, Instagram, even Twitter. Just search for Official Rules, a Sweepstakes podcast. You should be able to find it on any one of those wonderful social platforms. Starting off first, just a question or commentary. I notice a lot of Ticketmaster giveaways this year, and I always notice that the value is $3,000. What's going on with that? More or less curiosity. I just thought it was funny that, they don't offer $1,000 or $2,500 or $5,000. Every time I see it, and it's usually in conjunction with another brand, usually being like a Jersey Mike's or something, I see it for $3,000. Always thought that was interesting. Figured I'd ask or bring it up to see if anyone knows or if anyone cares at this point, because if you're going to win, $3,000 is just as good as and better than $1,000 or $2,500. Also, Office Depot's 12 Days of Giving. New sweep that came up, and as I mentioned last week, due to suggestion by one of our listeners, I'm going to do my best to post these in the recap. So whether you're listening on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Audible, you should be able to get the links to this and any other sweepstakes that I mentioned. But the Office Depot sweepstakes for the 12 Days of Giving, it basically has you fill out a form. It's a daily. It ends in 12 days, as the name would show. But us folks that live in Connecticut, pretty much all of our zip codes start with a 0. And I've noticed this on other sweepstakes. When you go to put your zip code in, that first zero will kind of magically disappear, and you'll be left with the last 4. But have no fear. I've submitted a request. Hopefully it gets corrected. Or hopefully if your name's drawn and you live in Connecticut, they don't take it out on you that you couldn't make the 0 stay. I've tried quotation marks, hashtags, anything you can think of to kind of make note that I have a 5-digit zip code that starts with 0, but to no avail. So that being said, good luck to everybody who enters that one. Giving away a nice amount of prizes. Again, it'll be linked in our recap. So if you're subscribed to Spotify or YouTube or any one of our podcast platforms, you should be able to get that and any other contest address in the description of the podcast. Coming up next, TCL Season of More. I may rename it TCL Season of Less, because we have not hit at all as of yet. This being week 10 in the NFL football season, coming to an end today, of course, with Monday Night Football. But the TCL season of more really has to do with Thursday night football. And you've heard me beating this drum for the last couple of weeks. I said if there was going to be a chance for the sweepstakes to release some prizes, it was going to be during the Bengals-Ravens game with Lamar Jackson at the helm. Well, Lamar Jackson did a fantastic job of absolutely beating the crap out of me in one of my fantasy leagues and putting up over 40 fantasy points, which is, for those of you who don't do fantasy football, for a quarterback to get 40 points, usually quarterbacks are scoring, good game in the range of, let's say, about 25 points. Mr. Lamar Jackson put up 40 points on me and yet got us nowhere close to the 98 or more rushing yards combined between him and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got a handful of yards. Lamar Jackson got about 34. Far and away, much far away from the 98 yards that was needed. Too bad, so sad. We move on to another week. So coming up this Thursday, the Commanders versus the Eagles. The superstar rookie Jaden Daniels versus KG veteran Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts likes to run. Jaden Daniels can sling the ball. And it's been a very exciting year watching this young man develop and play. And essentially, if I had to take a guess, he's running away with Rookie of the Year. But one of these two gentlemen will be at the helm for TCL's Season of More, NFL Week 11, but TCL's entry period 10. What needs to happen? 450 or more passing yards by one player. That will release 20 85-inch TCL TVs with a retail value just under $2,500, model number QM as in Mike, 851G as in golf. 20 85-inch TVs with a retail value just under $2,500. Folks, I'm not going to hold my breath. Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, but he's known more for running the ball with his legs. He can still toss some balls up there, but I don't see him getting to 450. If anything, that'll be up to Jaden Daniels to get us there. But don't hold your breath for that one, and don't hold your breath for next week. The Steelers versus the lowly Browns. TCL would like to see 75 or more total points scored. The Browns weren't doing good with Deshaun Watson. They're not doing too much better with Jameis Winston at the helm. The Steelers, can they put up some points? Yeah. But for both of these teams to combine for 75, whoa, Nelly, we're going to be going for a ride. And then the week after is the big one, so we're about 3 weeks away. But my Las Vegas Raiders versus Taylor Swift's Kansas City Chiefs, that is the first big week. 4 or more sacks by one player, and I pray to anyone that's listening, including the football gods, has nothing to do with fantasy. I don't have a horse in this race other than my team playing the Chiefs. But the Chiefs somehow are still undefeated after this week because they blocked a Denver Broncos field goal that would have beat them. So good for the Chiefs. They're undefeated this year and the last team to beat them. You'd have to go back to the last year. And that was my Las Vegas Raiders. Now, we're not doing great this year. Only 2 wins, but we have one of the best sack masters in the league. Thy name be Max Crosby. For TCL's Season of More, entry period 12, which is another 2 weeks away, 3 weeks, essentially. We need Mr. Max Crosby to get 4 or more sacks on Mr. Patrick Mahomes. It could go the other way. The Chiefs could sack the Raiders 4 times, which that is likely. I can see them sacking our quarterback 6 to 8 times. The key to this one is going to be 4 or more sacks by one player. That would release 251 98-inch TVs with a retail value just under $4,000. That's over $1 million worth of TVs. So something to look forward to with NFL's Week 13 TCL's entry period number 12. Stay tuned, and we will see what happens with that. Very interesting times indeed. Moving right along, before we get into this week's top 5, and I mentioned this during a sweepstakes meeting on Sunday, a virtual one, of course. It's been a great run with sweepstakes lately. I did mention my big one through Travel Centers of America with $2,500 worth of gift cards. Pepsi Chips and Sips, still pending, but I won a $100 gift card with that sweep. The DoorDash Fan Coach Sweepstakes, my prize did come in, which was a $50 DoorDash gift card, as well as a Bill Belichick-esque bright red DoorDash hoodie with the sleeves cut off, no less, just like Mr. Bill Belichick wears it. And the most hilarious part, the front pockets where you would normally put your hands, they are beautifully foil lined. So if you need to keep food hot, literally inside of your hoodie, you could do that with this hoodie. DoorDash, thank you. If nothing else, great conversation piece. And I was thrilled to receive it because it's just a hilarious prize to win. And I will wear it in good taste, of course. And lastly, my Sam Adams beer stein did arrive. My Oktoberfest 2024 beer stein. And I'll be honest, it's everything I was hoping for it to be. A huge, high-quality, heavy-duty beer stein. So thank you, Sam Adams, my favorite brand of beer. For those few times a year that I do drink beer, it's a Sam Adams. Thank you for the wonderful prize. But getting on to what we need to get on to, this week's top 5 brought to you by me, J.Victor, your host of Official Rules, a sweepstakes podcast. Do you not agree with my top 5s? Or do you have something else that you hate, want to chime in? Send me an email, please. sweepstakespodcast@gmail.com. If you don't have anything to add, just say hello. Let me know that you're listening. Number 5, Bassett Furniture, the Bassett annual $10,000 holiday giveaway. Very simple, folks. $10,000 store credit to Bassett Home Furnishings. And I get that, stuff is expensive nowadays, but unless you have a really, really big, gorgeous, just mansion of a house, which in that case, I'm going to have to guess maybe you're not like a sweeper. Maybe you are. But $10,000 can furnish most of our houses, I would say. That's a great prize. This one's running from November 4th to January 5th of next year. It is a daily, open to all of our friends in the 50 United States, including D.C., ages 18 and older, and who reside within a delivery radius of a Bassett Home Furnishings store. $10,000 credit to Bassett. If your furniture's getting tired, this might be one that you want to enter. The time frame is slightly long, about 2 months, but no problem. Nothing that typical sweeper can't handle doing a daily sweepstakes. So good luck to everybody who enters that daily sweep. That is number 5 on this week's top 5. Coming up next at number 4, the Barbecue Guys Blaze LTE Modular Kitchen Island Giveaway. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, I'll be including the link. This contest runs from November 8th through December 6th, so not even a whole month. It's open to all of our friends in the contiguous 48 states. Sorry to our friends in Alaska and Hawaii. It does, however, include DC. You have to be age 18 or older to participate. And this guy is a single entry, one and done modular kitchen from Barbecue Guys. If you're looking for a setup outside, if you're like me and just have your trusty old Weber 18-inch charcoal grill, this thing would be night and day. And, you're probably going to pay close to, if I had to take a guess, $25 to $3,000 in income tax when you win this, being that they're valuing it at $14,000. But this can just remake the entire outside of your living space. So good luck to everybody who enters that one. That looks like a great prize. And shout out to Barbecue Guys. They put out a lot of sweepstakes. And like all companies, they don't have to. But, month in, month out, week in, week out, I usually see them with some sort of giveaway. And they don't disappoint. They're putting big, high-dollar, nice stuff out there. So shout out to Barbecue Guys. That's number 4 on this week's top 5 with your friend J.Victor at Official Rules, a sweepstakes podcast. Number 3, one of my favorites, and I've talked about them before, and I certainly don't give them enough props, and I will admit that. But they should get more. T-Mobile Tuesdays, your weekly giveaway. This is T-Mobile Tuesday number 440. So if we're going just by the serial number that T-Mobile provides for this giveaway, they've had, since they started, 440 giveaways that they do week in, week out. If you're a T-Mobile customer, you could enter at t-mobiletuesdays.com or on your T-Mobile app. For those of you that are not T-Mobile subscribers, such as myself, the link that I'll be providing will be the alternative method, let's say. But this week, they are giving 50 first prizes away. A Lenovo 100E Chromebook laptop with a retail value of $360. Not only a great prize, they're giving away 50 of them. So this is not, a 1-week contest and one winner that nobody knows is just going to win it and you'll never hear about it. Chances are you could win this one. There are 50 of those first prizes up to grab. Again, it's T-Mobile Tuesdays, so these run every week. This particular contest is good from the 5th through the 12th. So they'll have a new contest tomorrow. It's a single entry. It's for all of our friends in the 50 United States, D.C., the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, ages 18 and older. But the grand prize, besides the 50 first prizes that I mentioned for the Chromebook laptop, you will also get said Chromebook laptop made by Lenovo. You'll get a Pixel 3 watch, Lenovo Duet Generation 9 tablet, and my favorite, an offset check in the amount of $513.85. So they also take care of the taxes for you on any amount that you would be taxed on. So shout out to T-Mobile. Now that I think about it, could have been a little bit higher than number 3. Sure can, but you'll be hearing a lot more about T-Mobile now and in the future because they're just a great sponsor when it comes to giveaways, and they are always giving stuff away. So thank you, T-Mobile. Number 3 on this week's Top 5. Number 2, the White Claw Wednesday Friendsgiving November Sweepstakes. This is a good one. It's a single entry, one and done. It only runs from November 6th through November 17th. And if you've done a White Claw Sweepstakes before, you probably already got this one in your email box. Oh, man, I need to get dinner. Your email box, because that's how I got mine. So this is going to run November 6th through November 17th. Open to all of our friends in the contiguous 48 states. Apologies again to our friends in Alaska and Hawaii. And they also mentioned that they're excluding Maine, which I'm not sure why, but sorry to our friends in Maine. Ages 21 and older, please, on this one. Very simple. 20 winners, 20 are going to get $1,000 in cash presented in a check made payable to the winner. So that is a fantastic contest. Single entry, one and done. Runs for about 11 days, and 20 people are going to get $1,000 cash. Make sure you get in on that one, because today being the 11th, you only got 6 more days left after today to enter into that contest. So good luck to you if you enter into that contest, and I certainly hope you win and have a wonderful Friendsgiving. Number 1, right up my alley, and I didn't want to bring this up earlier when I was talking about how I'm getting the absolute life beaten out of me in fantasy football this year. And I'll be honest, the number 1 sweepstakes for this week's top 5, I probably wouldn't have qualified in all the years before because I've been on an absolute roll in fantasy football and just absolutely killing it. Except for this year. I have 2 leagues. One league I'm doing okay, but one league, the artificial intelligence for Yahoo said I would not only be number 1, I would only lose, 2 games out of 14. So I would finish with a regular season record of 12-2. Well, folks, I am currently 3-5 and 1 tie. So it is not going well. But what is going well is the Progressive Fantasy Backup Plan Sweepstakes. And this is for folks who are involved in fantasy football leagues. Now, side note, before I get into the sweep, if anyone is interested for next year, believe it or not, there are a lot of fantasy football sweepstakes. So, for instance, Yahoo, and don't bother entering now as I tell you this, because the Yahoo one ended the moment the first kickoff happened in the first week game. So you're about 10 weeks late for this one. But Yahoo will basically, anyone who is in a private league on Yahoo, which it's free to do, they're basically going to pick one person out of all the registered names, and that person's getting something like $1 million. So, and it's not something you have to really be active in. The assumption is once you draft your team, and you could do auto draft, you don't have to, put any thought or effort into this. You could auto draft your team, and, you could do 1, you could do 5 teams. And you could purposely next year pick out, one set of garbage teams, because for the Progressive Fantasy Backup Plan Sweepstakes, this is only for people like me, the losers of the world, in fantasy football, of course, that are in the bottom half of your league. So a fantasy football league can have 6 teams, 8 teams. It usually has 10, 12, or 14. For you to be eligible in this sweepstakes, and this is why I ended up at number 1, because I'm very competitive, even when it comes to fantasy football, and I hate losing. If there's a silver lining in this absolute garbage storm that I'm going through in one of these leagues, it's that I qualify to do a screenshot and highlight my team's name, fill out the entry form on Progressive site once a week. And again, you have to already have a fantasy football team to be eligible to do this one. I know many of you may not, but again, it's a top 5 that I select for the stuff that I like. If you disagree, send me an email. And if you have your own top 5, guess what? I'll post your top 5 next week, because I would love to hear from you. So for this contest, if you're in the bottom half of your league, for one entry, you fill out the form and you paste the photo of your team in the bottom half of the league. The second entry, you can also take their little picture, let's say, that says Progressive Fancy Backup Plan, and you can post it to either Instagram or Twitter. I did read the rules. My assumption is that you can do it to both at the same time, but it's still going to end up as one entry. So it's an either or proposition. So beyond having a fantasy football team already, this is open to residents in the 50 United States, including DC, all of our friends that are 18 years of age and older. This will be running from November 7th through December 18th. The 6 weekly winners for this contest will get a check for $5,900. Just looking at the number, I'm assuming 900 of that is the offset for the main $5,000 prize, which is fantastic. The grand prize winner at the end. And if I end up in the bottom half every week, I at least have something to look forward to now with this entry. $23,600 via check. Again, the assumption is that $3,600 of that $23,600 is an offset for the main prize of $20,000. Hats off to Progressive. What a great idea for those of us absolutely suffering through a terrible, terrible season of fantasy football. And additional side note to that, when I was in the car business, I can't tell you how many people had nothing but good things to say about Progressive as their insurance company. Now, for us folks in sales, when it was time to get an insurance ID card and an insurance binder to get our paperwork settled, Progressive would never talk to us, the assumption being for security purposes. But you can't blame that, because they're keeping their customers' info safe. And ticked off a lot of the folks who worked for me at the time, saying, oh, the customers got to call Progressive themselves. Blah, 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 blah. They looked out for their customers. From what I heard, they had a really good customer service. And to top it all off, you guys made number 1 on this week's top 5 with J.Victor on Official Rules, a Sweepstakes podcast. So Progressive, you've made it. You've made it to the top. The Progressive Fantasy Backup Plan Sweepstakes. And I can tell you for sure, with the way my first league is going, even after drafting and putting together an unbelievable squad, I definitely need a backup plan. Folks, that's going to do it for me. This is your friend J.Victor signing off with Official Rules, a Sweepstakes podcast. We will see you next week. Take care, everybody.
This has been a Father and Son production.